We are currently in the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. Okay, so we can see how Krishna is actually giving Arjuna the first lesson. If someone asks us, what is the first lesson that Krishna gives Arjuna? Usually the first lesson is the most important lesson. It is the prerequisite to understand everything else that needs to be understood. Correct? So the first lesson that Krishna gives Arjuna is, Arjuna, you are not this body, but what are you? You are the spirit soul. Okay, this is the first lesson that Lord Krishna gives Arjuna. And of course, we know that Arjuna has already given various reasons, 5 to be exact, CESDI. The first being compassion. Okay, the first reason that Arjuna gave is, I'm overwhelmed with compassion for all my relatives and family members, friends here. So how can I fight? So Krishna here is giving different arguments from different angles to convince Arjuna that what you are saying is actually not valid. Okay, so Krishna actually presents all of his rebuttal to Arjuna's reasons for not fighting from slokas number 11 to 30 in chapter 2. Okay, so the devotees have been taking you through very nicely slokas number 11 through 18. And today we will look at sloka number 19 and 20. These two shlokas are very important. Okay, so now let us look at verse number 19. So let us read the verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Ya enam veti hantaram. Ya enam veti hantaram. Yaschainam manyate hatam. Yaschainam manyate hatam. Ubau tau na vijanito. Ubau tau na vijanito. Nayam hanti na hanyate. Nayam hanti na hanyate. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is slain. Okay, so the whole translation, I mean, the sloka itself sounds like a riddle or sounds like a poem rather, right? So Krishna is very poetic. Krishna is knowledgeable in all aspects. Okay, so what is Krishna saying here? Two things. Okay, one who thinks these two things is not in knowledge. That is essentially what Krishna is saying. So what are these two things? One, that the soul kills. So I am the soul and I kill someone. It means I'm killing someone. Okay. One, if we think that the soul actually kills, we are not in knowledge. And two, if we think that the soul can be killed, then we are also not in knowledge. So both ways, active and passive. If we think that the soul kills, and if we think that the soul is killed, either way, if we think any one of these two things or both of these two things, then we are not in knowledge. I hope that is clear, right? Because the soul neither kills nor is killed. The soul does not kill and the soul cannot be killed. Okay. So whenever weapons are used, for example, we are in a battlefield scenario now, right? Where Arjuna is reluctant to kill his relatives. Whenever weapons are used to kill another person, we need to understand that we are killing only the body, not the soul. Okay. Why? Why is that so? Why can't we kill the soul? So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport two reasons. One, the soul is actually very small. I'm sure all of you remember the size of the soul. If you remember, please put it down in the chat. What is the size of the soul? Yes. So the soul is 1/10,000 of the tip of our hair. So if we take just the tip of our hair and we divide that into 10,000 parts, and we take each part and we examine it, then we can know that the soul is actually smaller than that. The soul is smaller than 1/10,000 of the tip of the hair. Thank you very much, Amrita Mataji, and all of you who have answered. Okay. So the soul is so small. How can we possibly go and kill something so small? Right? So first of all, the soul is too small. Second of all, even if we can kill something so small, the soul is actually not killable. The living entity is not killable because of his spiritual constitution. What is killed or is supposed to be killed is only the body. Okay, now, does this mean that, okay, the soul cannot be killed? So I can, anyway, when I kill, I'm not killing the soul. So I don't like this person, let me go out and kill her or him. Can it work that way? No. This does not mean that we can commit violence. Srila Prabhupada explains nicely in the purport that the Vedic injunction is Na himsyat sarva bhutani. Na himsyat, ma himsyat sarva bhutani. Ma himsyat sarva bhutani. Never commit violence to anyone. Okay? Never commit violence to anyone or any animal. Does not mean that we can kill any man, or this does not mean either that we can go and commit animal slaughter. Basically, killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable. It is not acceptable. It's punishable by law, right? We all know that. Punishable not just by the law of the state, but by the law of the Lord. Okay? It is abominable. But Arjuna, however, he is engaged in killing for the principles of religion. He is killing under the order of the Lord and not whimsically. So one example we can see in this regard, when a soldier fights for his nation, he is given an award. He is given a medal of excellence, right? But when the same soldier, when he is not in duty, goes out, okay, on his own personal whimsical desire, if he goes and kills his personal enemy on his own, he will be put behind bars. Okay, so we should always, whatever we do, should be done as per authority. Okay, killing is only permissible when it is done under the proper authority. So that is very important to keep in mind. All right. So that is sloka number 19. Krishna says, the soul does not kill, or the soul cannot be killed. All right, so now let us look at shloka number 20. Shloka number 20 is a very important shloka, many important lessons that we can take away. In fact, it is advisable that we all memorize this shloka. Okay, so shloka number 20. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah. Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah. Ajo nitya shashvato yam purano. Ajo nitya shashvato yam purano. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So this shloka speaks about the soul. Okay. But in order for us to understand it better, we can compare the body and the soul. So first, let us see a few points about the body. Okay, then we can better understand the difference between the soul and the body. So one of the first things that Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport of this verse is that the body undergoes 6 types of transformations. What is the first one? It takes its birth from the womb of a mother's body, right? So it takes birth. That's the first one. The second one, it remains for some time. It remains for some time. Third one, it grows. Fourth, it produces some byproducts. As in the body also produces other bodies, right? Fifth, it gradually starts dwindling. And six, it vanishes or it disappears. Okay, the body dissolves. Okay, so 6 transformations that the body undergoes. Now, how about the soul? Does the soul change like the body does? No. So let us look at the shloka again. Yes, the shloka is still being flashed on the screen, so you can see. Let us go word by word. The soul, these are qualities of the soul, dear devotees, Prabhus and Matajis. First of all, na jayate, no birth. Mriyate, no death. Kadachin, at any time. No birth, no death at any time. Nayam bhutva, the soul has not come into being. But in the past, it has not come into being in the past. Nayam bhutva. Bhavita, does not come into being in the present. Vanabhuyaha, neither will it come into being in the future. Okay, so Krishna says that the soul is ever existing, it has always been present. Now in the third line, Krishna again summarizes the first and second lines. Ajo, the soul is unborn. It does not come into being means it is unborn. Ajo, unborn. Nityaha, eternal. Shashvataha, permanent. Purano, it is the oldest. And finally, na hanyate, the soul cannot be killed. Hanyamane sharire, when the body is killed. Okay. So basically, the soul does not undergo any change. The soul does not come into being. It is eternal, unborn, right? We can trace when our body is born. We all have our birth certificates, death certificates. We can trace when the body has come into being and when the body goes off, because the body undergoes these changes. But do we know when our soul has come into being? Can we read any history and find this out? No. The soul has been ever existing. There's no history of it ever coming into being, right? It does not become old. How do we understand this difference that the body becomes old, but the spirit does not? So many of us, we say, although we have, exceeded a certain age, we say we still feel young in spirit. In spirit, I'm still a boy. Okay, I feel youthful in spirit. It's just that my body does not permit me to execute these things, right? So the soul is ever youthful. The soul does not change. The soul does not become old. Although it has been existing since time immemorial, it does not become old. Whatever changes that the body undergoes, none of it affects our soul. Okay. So it is very, very interesting now. It is very interesting to note that in the Katha Upanishad, we find a similar shloka, very similar shloka. You have the Bhagavad-gītā shloka flashed to you, right, on the screen. Now, let me read to you the Katha Upanishad shloka. Basically, only one word is different. Okay, I'll read to you the Katha Upanishad shloka. Na jayate mriyate va vipashchin, nayam kutaschin na bhabuva kaschit, ajo nitya shashvatoyam purano, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. So very, very similar shloka in the Katha Upanishad. So what does this help us understand? First of all, it helps us understand that the Bhagavad-gītā is in accordance with all Vedic scriptures. Sometimes when we don't understand things in the right context, we tend to say that all the Vedic scriptures are contradicting each other. But actually, they properly complement each other. We just have to understand it correctly with the help of a bona fide spiritual master or proper authorities. Right? So what does this Katha Upanishad sloka say? The same things, unborn, eternal, has not come into being, does not come into being, will not come into being. But one word is different, the word vipaschin in the Katha Upanishad sloka. What does vipaschin mean? Vipaschin means that the soul is learned or conscious. So this Katha Upanishad sloka tells us one more feature of the soul. The soul is learned, okay, full of knowledge, and the soul is always conscious. All right. Even if we can't see, we can understand the presence of the soul to consciousness. We don't have to see everything to know that it's existing, right? For example, now, um, we all know that there is a sun, and technically we can't see the sun. Sometimes we can see a strong ray of light, right? And there is the sun. But sometimes we cannot even see that strong ray of light. Sometimes the sun hides behind the clouds. But does that mean there is no sun? No, the sun is just hiding behind the clouds. And we know that there is sun because there is light everywhere. It is bright. So we know that the sun is present, right? So similarly, we can understand the presence of the soul through consciousness all over the body. All right. So this is important to understand. And finally, we will conclude this shloka. The last thing that Srila Prabhupada tells us in the purport is, okay, there are two types of souls. So whatever we have learned about the soul, all of these qualities, right, that we saw in the shloka today, all of these qualities also exist in the super soul. Okay, these all are from the super soul. That's how we have these, because we are part and parcel of him. We are part and parcel of the super soul. Okay, there are two differences, only two distinctive differences between the super soul and the soul. All of us are souls. Okay? So there are two differences. Qualitatively, we are the same, but there are two differences. All right. The first one is we are Anuatma. We are infinitesimal. And the Lord is Vibhu Atma. He is infinite. So we are infinitesimal and the Lord is infinite. So qualitatively we are the same, but quantitatively we are minute, but the Lord is infinite, right? And the second difference is we are forgetful. We do not remember everything. But the Lord, He remembers everything. His past, present, future, and all of our past, present, future as well. He is all knowledgeable. Okay, we are extremely forgetful. Sometimes we may think we have a good memory, right? But what to speak of our past life? We don't know our past lives, of course. But what to speak of our past life? Do we even remember what we had for breakfast yesterday? Sometimes we have to think for a second. Okay, what did I have yesterday? Okay, yeah, right. So we are we are forgetful, but the Lord, He remembers everything. All right. So we saw the qualities of the soul. We saw the difference between the super soul and the soul. And finally, Srila Prabhupada is so merciful. He even tells us in this purport what our qualifications should be in order to understand this science of the soul. Many of us may think, I don't understand actually. What does this mean? What is Krishna trying to explain in the second chapter? It is so complicated, right? So Katha Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada quotes a verse again from the Katha Upanishad, which tells that there are two qualifications to understand this science of the soul. What are these two qualifications? One who has become completely free from all material desires and lamentation. So we should be completely free of all material desires and lamentation. Is that easy? It's quite a heavy one there, right? Okay. But the second one gives us hope. The second qualification specified in the Katha Upanishad. Second qualification is, if the Lord showers His mercy upon us, then we become qualified to understand by the grace of the Lord, basically. The first is be free from material desires and lamentation. Second is by the grace of the Lord. If the Lord showers His grace, we can understand. That is why, dear devotees, every day before we recite this Bhagavad-gītā, we recite all the prayers to seek the blessings and the grace of the Lord before reading the Bhagavad-gītā or Srimad Bhagavatam. Because It is difficult to understand unless he showers his mercy. Unless the Lord's mercy is there, unless the Guru's mercy is there, it is difficult to understand the signs of the soul. All right. Okay. So, very wonderful things we learned in the shloka today. It is also very important to note that in order to get these two qualifications, what do we have to do? We have to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day. By chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, we will gradually receive the mercy of a guru, receive the mercy of the Lord. We will stay in association of the devotees, and we will become free of material desires. Okay, so Krishna is convincing Arjuna. Okay, so many things Krishna is saying. All of these people here are anyway eternal. There is no question of their birth and death. They are not killed even if you kill their body. So all of these things Krishna is telling Arjuna. But is Arjuna convinced? Not yet. Maybe Arjuna is still thinking. Are all of us convinced? I think maybe we have still not fully realized the signs of the soul. So Krishna says, no worries. There are 10 more shlokas. So I said, right, Krishna explains from shloka number 11 to 30. We have seen 10 so far. 10 more to go, where Krishna explains to Arjuna through different angles about the signs of the soul. All right, that we are not this body. So please stay with us as we take you through this wonderful conversation of Krishna and Arjuna. Thank you all very, very much. We hope you have a blissful Sunday in the association of devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sri Hari Sridhar Prabhu, and thank you all devotees for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share with you this morning this wonderful signs of the soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
Sumantra Mataji, Hare Krishna, Prema Mai Mataji, Hare
you,
Krishna,
Mataji.
Kalyani
Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, Kamala Mataji, Pooja Mataji, Jayalakshmi Mataji, Hare
Hare
Krishna.